Well, welcome back to Krown's Kiddo Cave. A little bit of a different video this Saturday early afternoon over here from Chicago, Illinois. Going to be doing a tutorial for TradingView today, just kind of show how I set it up myself. So if you're interested in what sort of indicators I'm using and how I make my charts look like my charts, then this is probably the video for you. If that doesn't sound like what you want, well, probably not the best video for you. So without further ado, as always, wish you well over here from Chicago, Illinois, and let's get in the live scene right now as I initiate that teleportation, and I will see you over there. And there she is, Bitcoin in my beautiful charts in all of their glory. And let's first start off with the basis of this. So the way that I kind of make this whole thing look and act with regards to the indicator arguments and kind of the background is I go through this venue right here. I'll right click the chart, then go to settings. And by the way, if you viewed my last TradingView tutorial, you'll notice that TradingView tutorial is probably wildly inaccurate now, just because TradingView's updated their own systems quite a bit, and I've changed my own indicators as well. Anyways, so once we get into the settings right here, started off with symbol. I like to make my candlesticks nice and bright neon colors so that they kind of stand out. So I'll make these guys and just turn up the opacity all the way on both the green and the red. Some people like them, blue and white. Some people like blue and black. Some people like yellow and whatever the fuck. Doesn't matter. Whatever visually pleases you, as I am a visual person myself, but this seems to do the best job. Then on the borders, I'll actually do the exact same color and then turn it up all the way as well. It's kind of how you get that more like poppy-ish colors in the background. And then the wicks actually leave a little bit more on the drab side. I noticed that if I turn these guys up, it looks a lot more sloppy actually. Then after that, these guys kind of leave them mostly unticked. Don't really have a huge need for them. Time zone is pretty much irrelevant. Obviously, you want to have it in the area that you are going to be in, but the daily closes for all these marks are going to be equalized no matter what time zone you're in. So the daily close for Bitcoin, for example, when it's not daylight saving time, or I don't know if we're in daylight saving time or not, but today is the 20th day of July. So you tell me if we're in daylight saving or not. Anyways, if we are not, doesn't matter. Daily closes basically at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So wherever that is for you, that's going to be obviously 7 p.m. Eastern time, or sorry, 7 p.m. Chicago time for myself. If you're over there where I used to be living in Eastern Europe, then it's going to be around 3 a.m. Would kind of be where that equalizes out. But I always get a lot of questions on that. Shouldn't we kind of set it toward is it going to matter? It's like, no, it's all the same no matter where you are with Bitcoin land. So that just for your own documentation purposes, so you can kind of like go back in time and really highlight exactly what happened at what time, with regards to your own time schedule. Anyways, moving on to the next venue right here. This is where things get a little more interesting. So on the symbol, I always want to show this just because it's going to be showing you exactly what you're looking at right on over here. And then I leave it on the ticker. You can do it on the description, but it's just going to elongate it a lot more than really needs to be. I think ticker gets the job done. I do want to see the ticker. I don't necessarily need to see every little thing about the ticker itself. OHLC values, I definitely want those on. The reason why I want those on is because that's actually going to show you this up here. And a lot of the time when I'm kind of judging like former closes and looking at local highs and local lows, I want to see exactly where that was. And when you eyeball it on price, especially with some like Bitcoin that trades in huge numbers, you really want to be as precise as possible, because if you just get even a little bit wrong on Bitcoin, that could be the difference of like $50 to $100, right? Especially when you're kind of like more and more zoomed out, which this one just gets even more and more crazier. So yes, I will definitely keep this one on. If you want to keep it off, well, your chart's gonna be a little more clean, but for myself, I definitely want to know exactly where I am, because we can highlight this guy right here and know exactly what happened on that day, open, high, low, close, and then compare it with this guy right on over here. And then of course, if we want to measure that against perhaps like our indicator values, well, that's where things come a lot more interesting. We'll get to that in just a second. But anyways, bar change values, don't really care too much about that, but if you do want to take it on, just basically tells you the change from from the last period to this period. I don't really think it's too it's not too useful for me. Kind of nice to know, but it will tell you on the right hand side right over here for the day. Anyways, indicator titles, I definitely want that on. The only reason actually I'd like to have it off, but the reason why I have to have it on is because it judges all these guys right here. And so if I don't have them on, then I can't actually just very easily move back and forth between them. So unfortunately, do have to leave that off. Do have to leave that on just because it will take away a little bit of your real estate on the screen, but do need to be able to access these guys relatively quickly. Indicator titles, like I said, that's exactly what we looked at. Sorry. Indicator arguments, however, do not need this on. So that's just basically going to be the inputs on your indicators. As you can see, it gets extremely convoluted when I'm looking at my moving averages. So I don't really need that guy on right there. It's kind of just make things look a little bit more neat. And then indicator values, definitely want that on. As we just spoke about, that's going to be these guys right here. So for myself, when I have volume on or Bollinger Bands here, which we'll get to, and especially the exponentials and simples, I want to know exactly where these guys are coming in around. So whenever I highlight a candlestick right here, you do see that it'll populate all of the relevant moving averages that I have in for those periods, as well as the Bollinger Bands, as well as the volume metrics, and we can relate that to the open, high, low, close. So when things are getting extremely close, I won't even really look at the chart. I'll just highlight that bar and say, hey, did we close above or below, say like the 21? So we can see that the yellow moving average is kind of in the 21, and if we see the close, above it, for example, there's going to be some sort of trading strategies where that might be relevant, but definitely do want to know that. Anyways, getting onto the scales, this is not really too much to do here. Symbol name label, of course, going to have that on. I mean, it's not going to make a huge difference, but it just basically puts a label on right here. Symbol last value label. I mean, do you want that on? Do you want that off? I'd rather have it on. I think that it does provide some interesting info. Again, it tells you exactly where price action is right here. Just the easiest bird's eye view to know exactly where it is. Previous close value, not for me. Don't really care about that, but that will tell you. I mean, if you're trading traditional markets, it might be a little bit more relevant. But not for me. Indicator name level, nope, don't want that. As you can see, it basically just populates in all of where the indicators are. Now, could that be useful? I could definitely understand why some people would believe that's useful, but for myself, with all of the moving averages that I'm kind of running over here, it's too convoluted, as you can see. But I can understand some situations where people might want to know those. Let's see, no overlapping labels. Well, you probably want that. Countdown to bar close, definitely want that. That's going to tell you when this next period closes. So I'm on the 4-hour chart right now. This is telling us that in 1 hour and 21 minutes and 57 seconds, we will be closing this next 4 hour. Let's see, the next guy, don't have it ticked on, and date format. Well, do you want to do it the European way or the normal way? No, of course, I want to keep it the American way just because I'm more comfortable with looking at it that way. Let's see, appearance. Okay, so here's where things get a little bit more interesting once again. The background, I want as black as fucking possible. I want it to look like a goddamn black hole. So all the candlesticks really pop out. We do see that, I've kind of turned up the black all the way, as I'm definitely not racist, so get it as black as fucking possible over there. Vertical grid lines, I make this just as black as possible too, just so that it doesn't show. I don't want them to show, but it's basically these guys in the back, or yeah, you're not going to show because if I put it on white, you'll see. But it's basically like these, these lines in the background. I don't find any real particular use for that. Then there's the horizontal ones right here. It's just the same thing, but going, left to right. Again, don't really care for that as well. Some people might, some people not. Session breaks, nope, don't want that either. And then all these guys, not really relevant for myself. Scales text, well, yeah, I want that white to pop out. But other than that, really not, not too interested. Crosshair, if you really want to change that up, I mean, I suppose you could make that as wide as possible if you want. Get some white and black. Definitely not racist over here. Just nice and spreading out the love of the colors. And again, it's a personal preference type thing. For me, I'm completely fine with just looking at a crosshair like this, like slightly off white against a black background. Pops out really easy. That's all I really care about right here. Watermark, that's going to be referring to the name of the chart in the background. You do see on this one, it's essentially this right here. It's the XBT USD, 240. It's basically just telling you the symbol, the ticker, and then the time frame that we're looking at, and then a little bit more about the this asset, perpetual inverse swap contracts. Anyways, other than that, not really too much else interesting over here. Navigation buttons visible on mouse over. Yeah, keep it a little bit more compact. On the trading tab, I don't do anything here. I don't do any trading through TradingView, ironically enough. But I do know that some people want to, want to have their positions being managed from TradingView software. I would rather not do that, just because I'm a little bit more conservative when it comes to that sort of thing. I'd rather do my trading on the actual venue itself, just in case there's any sort of like fuck up with the exchange communicating with TradingView. It's just one more middleman essentially. So I'd rather kind of sidestep that. So I don't do any, I don't fuck around with anything on this one right here. But hey, again, personal preference. And then events, again, another thing that I don't really care too much for, just because I'm not trading stocks anymore. But if you do want to show the dividends or splits or earnings, that's certainly going to be useful. So I strongly suggest having those ticked on if you are going to be looking at traditional markets. And for that, I think that takes care of all of the background noise. Now let's get on to the actual indicators themselves, and I suppose we'll just kind of go down the list here. So first and foremost, on starting from the top, we do see volume profile. In the way that you kind of tick on any one of these, indicators, you just go over here to the indicators and strategies tab. Let's see, can you actually see this on the? You can't really see it. It's basically just at the top here. I think you can just barely see it right there. There you go. And I'll hit it right here. Brings up this little tab, and then this is the volume profile that we want to bring up. So this one is. I just type in volume profile right here. Or sorry, no, I don't type in volume profile. What I do is I type in VP, stands for volume profile. Scroll all the way down, and it's actually a stock indicator, except it's a stock indicator, but only available for paid accounts on TradingView. So you need to have at least one up from the free version. If I could just speak directly towards that for a second. I have the highest paid version of TradingView. I don't think it's necessary for most people. I think most people can get away with, especially the just one step up, which is quite inexpensive, and then the step in between, one step up from free, and then in between that and like the super professional one, which is what I have. That's probably like the best bang for buck, as I think it gives you access to like maybe 5 indicators on your chart. You probably don't need really more than that. I mean, if you do need more than that, then you probably should see a fucking therapist for indicator therapy. Realistically, don't really need all that much. Anyways, I have the volume profile session range, visible range right on over here. Most people actually prefer fixed range or session volume. They all tell you essentially the same thing, but the visible range is what I like to go for. I think it just makes more sense to me in the way that I look at things. And it's basically this indicator right here. Which I now have ticked on. And again, do you want to play around with the colors? You certainly can, but I kind of like leaving this one on default. I think it pops out just enough, tells you exactly what you want to know almost immediately. Anyways, after that, moving on, the next one that I have over here is Bollinger Bands, the good old BBs. And these guys, once again, going to be in the public library. Just type in Bollinger, and it should come up pretty damn easy. These guys right here, and then after that, I format them a little bit, but keep all the settings essentially, what's it called, default. As far as the inputs go, basically just 20 length. I mean, that's exactly what you want, really. And then 2 standard deviations away. Some people might want to use 1. I understand that, but that's going to completely change around the way that you interpret the indicator. And then as far as colors go, just change these around a little bit. Nothing too crazy there. And again, that's up to personal preference. After that, go into volume, and this one's going to usually come with your stock standard chart no matter what. And after that, my inputs for this guy, I'm gonna have a 20 moving average on it. Again, I don't even really care about the moving average on it more often than not. What I do care about is the actual color of it, because I don't care about it, because I certainly would not ever care about anything like that. And I like it gray, man. I don't want to see red or green in my volume. I don't want the volume to kind of tell me that it's I don't want the volume to kind of prime me with some sort of a prior conception of about what it's doing. So I'd rather see it just gray, as volume sees no color. It's not green or red. It's not Christmas. It's straight up gray. And then the volume moving average, put a nice little color on that as well. But for the most part, everything just stock standard here. I did forget to mention on the volume profile, I actually did change one thing. I put the row size to 80. That's going to make it look a lot more orderly. If I bring it back on right on over here, I think the default's going to be like much lower, and you're going to get like a lot more blocky territory, which I just don't think is as helpful. I like to look at it from this sort of angle. Anyways, we spoke about Bollingers, we spoke about volume. Let's get on to the exponentials. Okay, so this is the one that I probably get asked for the most. What I would suggest doing is going over here to the public library and type in Krown trading moving averages, and then there's going to be 2 by me. One is basically just, or I think they're both the same thing. pick whichever one you want. Do you want the top one or the bottom? Are you top or bottom? Well, whichever one you want, pick that. And then it'll come with its own default settings. I change around my settings quite often, so understand that, you know, it's not always going to be the same. But usually when I'm streaming, usually when I'm doing, you know, analysis that I want to give out to the, you know, to the rest of the world, I'll be having some sort of settings like this because it gives me a good bird's eye overview of what I want to look at, and gives me a very quick understanding of what direction likely is with regards to my strategies. So yes, when I'm not streaming, or even sometimes when I am streaming, I will change these around quite a bit. This is typically what I have, and then, you know, the colors that are associated with them. As you can see right here, again, it's going to be personal preference. Whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do, really. Anyways, moving on and bringing up these guys right here. Double clicking my charts is how I brought those guys up, just in case you're wondering. At the top, you'll notice I have a default Stoke. Again, for Stokes, very simple. Just go in over here, type in stochastic. It is not stochastic RSI. I fucking hate this one. It's just regular stochastic, and then I have my own settings on these guys as well. I believe I'm running a 1436. I do change this one as well every once in a while, but for the most part, you know, keeping it right within this region, and that, you know, and that's essentially where I want to see it. After that, let's go down. Just moving down to the downside right here, we do see the RSI plus exponential. This one again is going to be a private indicator, but I'm sure that you can find, and I know that you can find just a regular RSI EMA right here, and there should be one, yeah, by this guy's probably fine. I basically have it on, I'm pretty sure I do have it on what's it called, on default. I know that for my RSI, I certainly do have it on default. I'm running a 14 period right now. Sometimes I'll change this around to like a 21 or 22 as well, but I've been having good success with the 14. And then the EMA length, sometimes I'll do 12, sometimes I'll do 9 actually. Depends where we're trending on the market, but recently 12 has been working a little bit better. After that, moving on down, and of course, you know, change around the colors. Now, the indicator that I just showed you probably isn't going to have these control zones. This is only one that I have access to right now. I didn't even make it myself, but whoever made it gave me access to it, so I can't even, you know, I can't even like give it away to other people if I wanted to right now. Anyways, going over here to the Joule, another private indicator. This one you can find in the description of this video, of course, along with all my proprietary indicators. But this one right here is, well, it's fucking Joule basically. If you do have access to it, well, you're gonna find it from your invite only scripts right here, and it's gonna be this guy right here with 356 likes. But again, it's private, so unless you specifically have access to it, you're not gonna be able to look at this one, but I suppose I'll show it anyways. Bringing it up right here, I basically run it on mostly default. I will show the autofill, I will show the EMA crosses, and I will show all these guys right around here. As far as the DMI, I'll have that on a 1, EMA short 21. Yeah, I'll keep these guys in the same posturing as well. Sometimes I'll change this to a 50 right here. I have noticed decent results with that as well, but for now I'll leave it on a 55 actually. Anyways, going into the style, again, just whatever you want really. There's no right or wrong answer for this, but I just like the way that these colors kind of pop against each other. Then moving down from there, the BA historical volatility percentile. I believe if you just type in HVP, it should show up. This one's going to be by Bollinger. Yeah, there it is right here. And this one I really like as a unique indicator. Unfortunately, it is I was going to say unfortunately it's not available to the public, but I believe it is. I'm pretty sure it is at least. And for this one, I leave things mostly default. If I remember properly, let's go over here to the inputs. The length of a 30, you know, sometimes I do like to have that on a 20, and then the length of this guy right here actually do like on a 20 as well. I think it just works better. The length on this guy can be 30, sometimes 20. I do sometimes have better results with 20, but the MA length, the moving average length, certainly 20. As you can see, it gets things a lot better here. You know, whenever we break the moving average, you actually do get trendy moves. That is exactly what you want to see. Anyways, I believe that does it for pretty much everything that I wanted to show here. After that, I think pretty much everything is self-explanatory. I think that's just the only things that are really pertinent to me. Of course, you have all your drawing tools on the left-hand side right over here, but that's not really within the scope of this conversation. We're just talking about indicators and kind of how to set up the base TradingView in general, so it doesn't look like a goddamn hodgepodge of disgusting colors, but it looks nice and pretty. Because of course, if you're like me and you're autistic and you're staring at this shit 24/7, 365, well, you probably want to look at some nicer colors in your face. Anyways, with all that said, I think I'm going to end the video right there. I would like to wish you a nice rest of your Saturday, and I'll be back on tomorrow with some more video analysis. So take care and see you soon.